think the best episodes are the ones where we have the millennial pause at the beginning where we're just like,
what are we doing?
the camera. Wait,
the camera's on.
We're just. What if we had an episode where the whole time you and I are talking, but every time we look at the camera, it's just kind of like a. Are you seeing that too?
Like just side eyeing it. I think it would take me out a little bit. Do you think?
Yes.
That a story of a teacher, 2 teachers actually, could potentially fix your life? Maybe.
I think maybe.
Welcome to another episode of the Book Fix Podcast, a podcast where we fix lives one book at a time. I'm your host, Yajaira.
And I'm your host, Cheli, and we are both slightly buzzed. So
Only slightly, though.
I think I
don't
needed
make it
for
weird.
this book. I don't think I could have done it without this book, but honestly,
here it is.
it's a Freida McFadden book. We are back again.
We had to.
Dude.
Freida has become one of my top authors, especially after The Housemaid. The Housemaid was
I agree
so
with you. They're
good.
You know what's crazy too? I looked her up the other day, and the books that we've been reading aren't even like her top ones.
What?
Like there are some that are like even
I
higher.
thought it was
Housemaid. But there are some that are like
what was
there's
the other
called
one?
The Coworker.
Oh yeah.
I want to read it.
That was
I'm
good.
gonna be mad at my coworkers. But we are reading The Teacher, or we are talking about The Teacher. This is a one-off that follows the story of our 3 main characters. So our first main character,
mostly 2, but we do get a surprise perspective at the end.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Our 2 main characters, whose names are Eve and Addie.
Yeah, and Eve is a teacher and Addie is a student.
Well, first of all, respect her credentials. Math teacher.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, that's very important because nobody likes math teachers.
Okay.
It's true, though. It's true. Think about us when we were in high school.
You know,
Maybe it was just me because I was
I
so
had a
freaking
math
bad at
teacher.
math.
I had a math teacher who once told me, this is such a dark joke.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
The one who was talking about, because when we would do the school shooting drills,
Yeah.
he always said, like, I'm a math teacher. You know what they say? They always come for the math teachers first. So if I see anything, I'm out of here. Like,
It's dark, but it's so true. Like, you know, you have to be aware of this stuff.
Yeah,
and
do.
that teacher is a math teacher, you know.
Also very well loved, that teacher.
Okay, good. Worried about him for a little bit.
But Eve, on the other hand, is known as a math teacher who is very, very strict.
And I think it's interesting because she's married to an English teacher.
Nathaniel,
yes. And I just thought it was so funny because obviously she's very strict. She isn't very well liked, unlike her husband, who I believe in the beginning it's revealed that he is like known as the hottest teacher on campus. She's like, wow, how did I pull that?
So Mr. and Mrs. Bennett. Complete opposites, but my God, that first chapter in Eve's perspective, their marriage is horrible.
So loveless, honestly. I thought it was interesting, though, because she seemed so ticked off by everything that he did. Like, he would just be, like, brushing his teeth, and she's like, ugh, can't fucking stand that bitch.
She was on birth control for a little while, and then went off of it because they want to try to have a kid, but they only have sex the first Saturday of every month.
Which sounds so weird.
It's
Saturday. All right. Take your clothes off.
That's crazy to me. They go to the same job, but don't even go in the same car.
I thought it was funny. Oh, well, they normally don't go to the same car, but this time they did because it was the first day of school.
Yeah.
I thought it was so funny when she was just like looking at her closet and she was like, oh, my Jimmy shoes. Oh my God, my one true love.
Her shoes.
She's obsessed with shoes. And it's funny because her husband, Nathaniel, will be like, are those new? No. Can't you tell? I've worn them like at least like 5 times.
How did you feel that her husband, Nathaniel, never wanted to fight? Not confrontational at all.
Listen, with the Freida McFadden book, my what's the word? I'm always like on alert, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just always looking, reading between the lines. And obviously like with the title, The Teacher, I was like, one of these two bitches I don't trust.
She also started it the way she started Housemaid, with a prologue that doesn't have doesn't tell you who the narrator is, and it's someone digging. And it's like, oh my gosh, this shovel, it's very heavy. All my bones are aching. I'm cold. It's raining. It's wet.
You hear sounds like bushes rustling.
But she out here. And that's all you know. So all of a sudden you're put in Eve's perspective, and it's like, okay.
And it's just like 3 months ago.
Yes. So then we go to our second main character, whose name is Addie. And Addie, she is a student who apparently the year before went through something very traumatic. So on the first day of school, she's sitting in the car. Her mom's dropping her off. She's like, no one's going to remember, babe.
Honestly, that was kind of annoying to me because I feel like the mom was so nonchalant about what the hell actually happened with Addie. Because at first, I wasn't sure what exactly happened with Addie. I had an idea, but the way that the mom was treating the situation, she was so like, it's okay. No one's going to even look at you funny this year. Don't worry. And Addie was obviously really nervous. And she was looking at the campus like, can't we just like move schools?
She's like, no, it's gonna be just fine. And then all the kids start beeping, like honking, and the mom still makes her go. And I fucking hate, because even Addie was like, why am I gonna stay in the car? All my mom is gonna do is talk the talk but not follow through with anything. So whatever. And she gets out of the car, and everyone is immediately looking at her. They're snickering. No one wants to sit with her. She looks over at this one person who she calls Hudson, and she's just like, that's my best friend from childhood, and he won't even look at me.
But the way, I mean, I think this is true to every Freida McFadden book, that she always drops like little things where like things aren't what they appear.
Yeah.
Where she'll be like, yeah, Hudson won't look at me, but it's because of what we did. You know what I mean? Like that sort of line. And then there's like this school bully that, well, at least bullies Addie for sure, who is kind of just like blocking her path to the point where Addie doesn't want to be confrontational, especially after all of these rumors that are flying around about her. So she literally just like walks around the whole like stairs so she doesn't have to go through Kenzie.
Dude, where were the fucking teachers?
I don't know. I thought
that was one of my pet peeves.
Yeah. I don't know. Because I was thinking the same thing. Like, why isn't anyone getting involved?
Why isn't anyone monitoring the hall? Weird to me.
Do you think that there are some schools that just don't?
Maybe that's just an American thing. Monitoring the halls.
Maybe.
Because, I mean, we have the most issues. But no one's monitoring. So just like open bullying. Open to the public, and no one does a fucking thing. And then we figure out our main character, Addie. She has both of the Bennets. She has Mrs. Bennett, Eve, for math first, and then her last period, she has Mr. Bennett for English.
So Nathaniel.
And it's polar opposite. She goes into Mrs. Bennett's class, and it's so funny because she's like, first day and she already fucking gave homework. Dude.
And but also I think it's important to note that Eve, well, it's funny to me because obviously, like, I don't know the environment, but the way that Eve was just gossiping with her coworkers, like, oh yeah, you know that girl Addie, yeah, she came back, can't believe it. She got, what was his name? She got blank fired to
Art Tuttle.
Oh, she got Art fired. And Eve immediately is like, oh my God, Art, my bestie. Art, my good friend who taught me everything I know.
The main math department guy.
Yeah. So Eve is kind of already not vibing with Addie. And she tells her coworkers, yeah, she's going to be in my class today.
I already hated Eve from the fucking get-go. Who gossips about children? That's so... Is that a high school thing? That's so weird.
I don't know. I think it must be the environment, maybe.
Oh, I hate that shit.
But yeah, I hated that too. And Eve wasn't very likable. I don't think Freida's characters are ever really that likable.
No, they're not. But I will say I felt very bad for Addie. When I would read her parts, I would get teary-eyed.
Yeah, I felt bad for her too because I could tell that this girl has been through a lot.
How did you feel? First of all, shout out to our boy Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh
How did you feel that in Nathaniel's class, in Mr. Bennett's class, he's over here asking like,
I have to show off the purse that Cheli gave me. Look at how cute it is.
happy birthday.
Thank you. It's an Edgar Allan Poe purse. I'm going to put all of my deepest, darkest secrets in here. But I thought it was so fucking funny because I don't know if the class was just poetry or were they just having like a poetry unit?
He started off with poetry, I think.
Right? And so he's like talking about poetry and how poems mean so much to
Everyone,
him.
tell me what your favorite poem is right now.
Recite it right now.
Green eggs and ham.
Ooh, so close but wrong.
But she had said that her favorite poem was Annabelle Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's one of your favorite poems.
Yeah, so I thought that was so funny. I felt seen, but also I felt cringed.
It's such a cute poem, though.
It is. And he immediately was like, "Oh my God, love Edgar Allan Poe," right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So obviously, like Cheli said, different vibe.
Yes.
From Mrs. Bennett's class to Mr. Bennett's class.
So then we go back to Eve's perspective, Mrs. Bennett, and she is going home on the first day of school. After the first day of school.
Doesn't she have to catch a ride or something because her husband was taking too long?
Yeah, so she catches a ride with a friend, but then takes her car over to a mall, and she goes to get shoes.
No, is it a mall?
It's a mall that has
like
a shoe palace.
Shoes for less. There's like what was the name?
I don't remember.
Simon's Shoes, I think it was.
And no, that's the other one. That's the one where the guy works at. But she goes to a different one.
Oh, okay.
And so...
Oh, you're right.
So she goes there first and sees a pair of shoes and puts them on. And she's like, they were made for me.
Yeah, like they're so beautiful. Look at the way they hug my foot.
What if I just fucking take them?
Well, because she looks at the price and she's like, no fucking way. I can just drop all these thousands on this shoe.
As a teacher?
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
And so she notices that there's only like one person there and it's just the cashier. And so she's like, okay, I could put them in my purse and just leave. No big deal. So she puts them in her purse, starts heading for the door. But then there was an older lady who bought shoes and she went out the door first. And then the alarm went off.
But it was assumed that it was her.
Yeah, you think it's her, but it wasn't.
Why do you think Freida McFadden put that part in the book? What was the point in that?
I think the point was to make her seem, I don't know if unreliable is the right word, but just like, I guess to make the character more flawed. Because if she really loves shoes, she would steal them, right? Right?
It's funny because if that was the intention of it, although she was more flawed than the other characters, throughout the story, I kind of trusted her more because of how unreliable the other two characters were.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way.
So we go back to the loveless marriage that is Nathaniel and Eve. And there's one point where it's because there was like a new teacher that was flirting with Nate. And
oh my God, I was a PE teacher. That part was so cringy. How did you feel? Like, cause they never hung out together on campus because I think Nate had said something like, "Oh, we see each other at home." So
that's so crazy to me. I thought it was funny that Eve thought she had to kiss Nate at work. And it's funny because it just seemed like it was a normal kiss.
Yeah, it was.
But he was like, whoa, steamy in here. Whoa, my gosh, am I right, fellas?
Because they never have sex. So he's like, anything steamy, babe.
That's crazy. So when they get home, she's like completely over him and is like, I know it's not Saturday, but fuck the Saturday rule. Let's have sex right here, right now. And he's like, but babe,
Actually, I'm really busy right now.
Tired.
I actually just really have to do laundry, and if I do laundry, then I'm gonna get all sweaty, and if I get sweaty,
my arm like this, it really hurts. So like,
I thought it was so weird. I don't know. Like to me, it's weird because like anytime she would want to have sex, he was very like quick with the reasons why he couldn't. He was like, "Ooh, I would, but
it's Tuesday.
My sport is on like right now.
Yeah.
Soccer is on the TV, babe. I can't focus on you.
You know what we said about soccer?
Comes before you.
Yeah, he was very quick on it. But there was one moment where she left and she goes to a place called Simon's Shoes. And this isn't the same day. This is like a few days later. And she's trying on shoes, and the worker's like, you liking those shoes?
Do you need help with that?
Hey, you liking those shoes?
Look at those feet. You ever been... I was going to say, you know what? I'm not going to give him promo.
What?
The Feet Finder. You ever been on Feet Finder, girl?
Hey, have I seen those on WikiFeet or what? Puts the clothes sign on, and she immediately starts making out with this shoe salesman. How did you feel that she was unloyal? Not faithful.
I wasn't that shocked. I was like, of course she would not be unfaithful. This man does not want to have sex with her. I was, okay. It wasn't shocking, but I was a little bit disappointed because I was like, okay, where is this story going? Because if she's unfaithful, is she the teacher? Who's the teacher on the cover? I'm very confused.
I know. I wasn't sure who was going to be the person to commit a crime.
I thought it was her. Like, I thought the book, I had no idea what this book was about. But I thought that this was going to be about her. Like, something about her. I don't know what, but I just thought it was going to be about her. And so when she started, like, having sex with this guy who she called Jay. And obviously, like, I think she mentioned that they had been together for, like, 4 months or so. Or they had been messing around for 4 months at this point. I was like, wait, and your husband has no idea?
He doesn't give a fuck, though.
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
He doesn't even care that she leaves without announcing that she's leaving.
Yeah, and he never asks her any questions. She brings that up. That she can just show up whenever, and he's just like, all right, chill.
Oh my gosh. They're like having dinner, and she's like, I'm having sex with another man. It's like, I'm glad you had a good Tuesday.
Well, I mean, at least one of us is having sex, I guess.
Oh my God, dude. But well, where do we even go?
Well, first, I just want to say, from the beginning, when we find out about her affair with Jay, she would always say, oh, we're both cheaters. Because Jay is married with a child, and you know what? Anytime I'm with him, he's always like, I'll be right there. You know what I mean? Like, he was always like, gotta go. But this was fun, though. See you soon. Right?
Did it ever say he was married with a child?
She would say that.
Okay.
She would say that, and that's important. We'll talk about that later. But then, so she would go home to Nate and just be in a loveless marriage.
But let's go back to Addie.
Okay.
So for Nate's first assignment, they have to write a poem about themselves. And she writes about her abusive dad. And I like how he doesn't immediately call CPS. It's just kind of like...
Well, it was a known thing that her dad is dead.
I know, but there's like no help for her at all.
Yeah.
You're right. You should publish this.
He's like, you know what I see in you? A star. This poem, it's going to make you so much money, girl.
I love it so much. I love it. Oh, wait, hold on. Get me my star stamp. You're going to love this so much. Bam! Amazing. Going right on the fridge.
Not the fucking... And it's the teacher's lounge fridge, not even his own personal fridge.
You remember that Twitch streamer who had a fridge in the back of his Twitch stream?
Oh, God. No,
and and when people would send him money, all of what they would send him would fax out of his printer, and he would get it and put it on his fridge if it was funny. And then one of the Twitch community was like, can you tell us a secret or something like that? And he's like, yeah, you want to hear a secret? You want to hear? And then he goes to the fridge and picks it up, and it's just cardboard. And he's like, it's not real. And everyone in the community was like, holy shit.
That's a good secret. I think that would
my God, I gotta show you that. It's so funny. I don't know why I brought that up. But Nathaniel, going back to him.
Okay, first of all, how did you feel about Nate, though? Because it is important to note that this man, I think there's something in his eye or something, because he would be winking at Addie a little bit too comfortably. Wouldn't other students notice?
I think he did that to multiple students, didn't he?
I believe that.
I don't want to wink right now.
Yeah, I think he would.
I don't like it, but there are some teachers like that. So a very trusting reader was like, no, It's nothing. He's just helpful. And I thought it was sweet of him to want to put her on this poetry thing. But
well, journal. He wanted no, not a journal. He wanted her to be in his poetry club, which was called Recollections.
Oh, Recollections. You're right.
Yeah. Recollections. Thank you.
Why was it called that?
Because you just think about things, you know?
Oh, okay. We just think our thoughts down here. It's just like one of the closets. Just not a real club. So she joins Recollections and meets Lotus, which is Mary there. And it's like, this is our editor-in-chief of this whole establishment. And she immediately hates her and is like, wait, aren't you the one that had sex with Art Tuttle?
Yeah. Well, wasn't she kind of like chill at first? And then she was like, wait, did you actually fuck that old man? And Addie was so, I guess, appalled by the bluntness of her that she was kind of just like turned off. Because she wanted a friendship with somebody. Yeah. And she was like, never mind.
Oh, gosh. But she joins this club. And it's weird because Nate starts saying, like, how's my wife with you? Is she treating you okay?
I hope my wife's good.
I hope my wife's doing okay with you. And then there's just that whole thing.
Oh, you know what it was? It's because
the cheating.
His wonderful, sweet, loving wife sent a note out to his classroom. And it basically said, have Addie see me after class. And it was because Eve caught her cheating on her math test because she's not that bright at math. And honestly, me neither, girl. So I get her. And so Addie is terrified. Yeah. Because this could ruin her GPA. And honestly, it's just her and her mom. So she's just like, I don't want to disappoint my mom. Yep. So she's crying and she's just like, please don't tell on me. But she's like, no, girl, I will. Right? But Eve leaves, or I don't know, sometime afterwards, when she's home with her husband, Nate, all of a sudden, Nate is like, wow, you look so luscious in this robe.
He's like, wow.
You look so beautiful.
And they have very passionate sex.
Yeah, and it's not a Saturday, by the way.
Damn.
But how did you feel afterwards? What happened afterwards?
He immediately brings up Addie and is like, I heard
these bitches are still sweating, by the way.
I heard you were gonna tell the principal about Addie.
No, he was like, what happened? Why did you call Addie in? And she was like, well, that little girl was cheating.
And I'm gonna go tell Principal Higgins about it. And he was like, but she's broken.
She's been through so much. You know, her father passed away. That whole thing with Art Tuttle. And I mean, Eve still thinks that Art Tuttle is innocent. So she's like,
It was crazy because before this, Art Tuttle had crashed into Eve at the grocery store and had said, Addie is not what she seems.
Yeah. And the way that he did it was kind of aggressive, though, because he kind of grabbed Eve's hand and was like, don't trust her. Right? And so she's kind of thinking like, no, I don't really trust her. So she mentions this to her husband, and her husband is like, do you really think that Art Tuttle is incapable of crossing the line with Addie?
Yep.
And so he basically convinces her not to go to the principal.
Big red flag. Don't talk about my students with me. Post-sex.
No, literally, like they had just finished. That was so weird. That was so fucking weird.
I'm glad it wasn't during, though.
Imagine. So about Addie.
How's she doing in math?
She's a bright girl, huh?
I heard she wasn't really getting A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
I mean, I barely got that shit last week. So basically, Eve is like, okay, Addie, when she sees Addie, fine, I'm not going to tell the principal, but you're going to get tutoring. And she's super grateful. She's just like, oh my God, Mrs. Bennett, thank you so much. You're the real one, girl. You are the real one. And then what happens?
Is this the hug?
Yeah. Dude. So First of all, trigger warning. We didn't say that before, but trigger warning.
They meet at Reflections. And
is it Reflection or Recollections? It's probably Reflections, actually.
I don't Recollections sounds good. I don't know. They meet in the poem room
club.
And I think Mary has gone home.
But wasn't it this point when Mary was like, "Hey, let's hang out." And she was like, "Ooh, I wish I could, but I can't. Later, girl."
Mm-hmm.
And then she talks to Nate for some reason. I forgot why.
And Nate's like, how'd my wife? Oh no, how'd Eve do with you?
Mm-hmm.
And at first, Addie's like,
oh, he doesn't know. She thinks that he doesn't know that she cheated.
Mm-hmm. But I forget what he says.
He says something that's basically like basically saying that he's aware of the situation and he knows that she really did cheat, and she's super embarrassed, and she's just like, "Oh my god, you know about that?" And he was like, "Yeah. Who do you think saved you? Who do you think convinced Mrs. Bennett not to go to the principal?"
Boom.
Don't ever forget that.
Oh, dude.
Oh, and then they hug. And I just need to sit here for a moment because
when you when you work at a job where kids are supposed to trust you, no, I was out. I had to stop.
Yeah, I felt really disgusted too in this moment. It reminded me of My Dark Vanessa.
I never read it.
Dude, don't.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I would say don't, because
discretion advised.
Yeah. I did enjoy I did enjoy My Dark Vanessa, but it is really hard to read someone who had a relationship with a teacher thinking that that's her first love and then realizing, oh shit, I wasn't the only one,
Oh god. I was disgusted because throughout this whole story, I trust so easily. Mm-hmm. I thought he wasn't a bad guy. I just thought he was weird. Mm-hmm. And I thought he was going to be very particular, like our character was in Housemaid. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought this was going for.
Honestly, I thought this book was going to be more focused on Eve, and I thought Eve was going to do something to Addie, thinking that something happened between Addie and her husband, but nothing actually happening. Because through this story, we figure out that nothing actually happened between her and Art Tuttle. Yep. It just so happened that she showed up at his house. He showed up at her house. It's weird, but nothing physical happened between them. And so when the principal reached out to Addie, she was like, "Hey, did he touch you?" She said yes, because he put his hand on her shoulder.
Yeah, she was being literal.
Yeah, he did touch me, but, not in the way that they thought. So I thought that maybe this was just going to be oh, she's just very unlucky.
That's a horrible interview, by the way. For them to just ask it so generally. Kids don't answer things the way you think they would. But Nathaniel hugs her and gets turned on.
Yeah, and she pulls away from him and she's like, "Oh, she's confused, right?" And he's very embarrassed. Allegedly very embarrassed. And he's just like, "I'm so sorry. I don't know why this is happening. You're the first girl who really understands." That fucking, oh my god, this shit pisses me off. That shit where it's guys will say any shit to girls to make them think that they're the one. So that's what he was doing with Addie.
But at this point, he says, "I haven't felt a connection with my wife in a very long time."
A very long time. And I'm sorry. Oh. Sorry, you just happened to be here at the wrong time.
You gotta go. And she leaves. But then it's like, no, I need to see this through. I want to talk about it.
Because she's thinking in her head, he feels guilty. He's not telling me oh, I want to be with you, or kiss me. So she thinks in her teenage brain, oh, if I initiate it, it's because I want it, and it's not wrong because I want this. Yep. So she goes up to him and she kisses him.
And they go into a more secret place.
It's the old photography classroom where they would have the film in there, but it's been abandoned and it's dark in there. So they would just go there.
And I really hate it because they kiss a lot, and he promises her that it will never go past kissing if she doesn't want it to. And she's like, wow, he's so
respectful.
He's so respectful. But then the next day he has sex with her.
I felt so disgusted, and I felt really bad for Addie because they're making out the next that day that you said. And he's like keeps not like pushing her, but he's kind of like closing the space around her, right?
Yeah.
So she would move back because his hands were getting too close to her pants. And then he would just move closer to her. And then he would unzip her pants. And she's just like, what the fuck? But she was just frozen in shock. And I think she did mention that, I don't think it was the second day, because don't you remember that she said like, oh, like he would like touch my chest area. Yeah. And then that time he undid her pants and basically just fucking had sex with her without her saying like, yeah, you know what I mean? Yep. Like it just like she was frozen.
But then her justification was like, well, I knew that he wanted to. So it's fine because it's Nathaniel and I'm his soulmate.
Yeah, so the way that they would speak to each other was he would make her believe like, oh, you and I are meant to be together. You and I are endgame. I've never felt this for anybody. And you're inspiring me. And look at this poem I wrote for you.
Written in a long time and now I've written for you.
Yeah, look at this poem I wrote for you.
So she is in a relationship with this teacher.
Yeah, and it goes on for a while.
And I do want to say, because we haven't mentioned her that much, Addie is still getting severely bullied by Kenzie. So Kenzie is over here filling her locker with shaving cream, and her throwing her clothes in the shower, so it was all wet and all of this stuff. And it's hard to read those parts. Well, this whole book was hard to read, but it's hard to read those parts because Hudson, her friend, watches and looks like he wants to do something about it.
He did help her with the shaving cream though, but other times he would kind of just be like, oh. Yeah.
But Addie is under the impression that Hudson is dating Kenzie, so it's like, no, don't do this because your girlfriend's going to be really angry. So there's all this shit going on with Kenzie, and there's one point where that poem, did you find it?
I found it. So, like I said, this guy supposedly hasn't had any inspiration for a very long time, and he writes her a poem. And it says, life nearly passed me by. Then she, young and alive, with smooth hands and pink cheeks, showed me myself, took away my breath, with cherry red lips, gave me life once again. And she kept this poem. And one day Kenzie was like messing with her stuff, I think. Like her backpack and stuff. Yeah. And she was like, what the hell is this? And obviously, you know, this poem meant a lot to Addie. So she immediately takes it from her. And she's like, oh, nothing. It's just this poem I found online. I just copied it. Because she's scared.
Yep.
Because obviously she's aware that this situation is dangerous for
and even
Nathaniel.
Nathaniel says, your life or my life is in your hands.
Yeah.
Can I say something that we didn't mention?
Go ahead.
The first time they have sex is when she gets the poem and the author lets us read it the first time. And then when they're having sex and she's kind of like, oh, this is happening, she thinks about the poem again. I thought that the cherry red lips was him being a fucking gross ass man and talking about her privates. And that's why she remembered it at that point.
Yeah. Isn't it?
It is, right?
I thought so.
Okay.
Because she's young. That's what I thought it meant.
That's disgusting.
I think.
That's how I took it to why she was repeating it at that point.
God.
That's
or
gross.
Yeah. That's what I thought too. It was trying to say. Honestly, it was triggering. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
But let's go back with Eve. I felt bad for Eve, honestly, because there was a moment when it was her birthday and she was like, oh, I I wish he would get me something special or take me somewhere special. But Nathaniel doesn't want to buy me anything or take me anywhere because we share the same bank account.
Yeah.
So it's really pointless, in his words, to like buy her anything. And so he decides to take her to this Italian restaurant that they've been to before. And it's like the cheap Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
When she really wanted to go to like a more fancier one. But he was like, no, let's just go to this one. And she wears her heels. And I just hated how this man literally parked so fucking far away and was like, ooh, I can't move any closer because I'm already here.
Yeah. You want me to really drive 10 feet away?
That's so far.
She's like, but I'm wearing heels. Yeah. Well, I didn't ask you to buy those heels, did I?
Which I know you bought like last week, so don't lie to me.
And then when she tries to deny it, he's like, okay, let's just wait for the credit card bill to come in.
Yeah. Oh my God. I hated that. I was like, damn, this relationship sucks.
But the time that they go to that restaurant, Addie's also there.
With her mom. Mm-hmm.
And there's just so much awkwardness.
It's so fucking awkward. I don't know if at this point they already hooked up.
I don't think so. I just know with the way things play out, let's just say that we reach a point where Eve is walking through the hallway and
wait, I want to bring something up.
Yes, go ahead. I think I remember.
So remember, Eve isn't that nice of a math teacher, and Addie sucks at math. So Eve starts thinking that Addie really fucking hates me. Like the way that she looks at me, the way that she's just glaring at me. This girl hates me. And then one night when Nate texts Addie and is like, sorry, girl, I can't see you today. I have a really special dinner I got to go to. Not special, but, you know, he had plans. Yeah. Addie gets anxious. And so she's like, oh, my God, I got to go see him because she's like in love with him, obsessed with him, you know. So she shows up at Nate and Eve's house and is like looking through the windows, like trying to see Nate. Eve sees her. So the next day, Addie gets called into the principal's office. She's like scared. She's like, oh my God, they're going to ask me like about Nate. But then the principal is like, Eve saw you outside of her house. And she's thinking, oh, it's because this girl fucking hates me.
But had it not been for Nate texting her, deny everything, she handled it pretty well. She was like, I was with my mom.
Yeah. Exactly. Because I feel like Addie would have immediately confessed everything because she was a very anxious girl. And just thinking about, you know, Nate's life being in her hands kind of pushed her to, I guess, deny everything. Yeah. And so Eve is over here still thinking like, oh no, this girl hates me. Nothing really gets resolved with that whole interaction with the principal. And then she's talking to her coworker and she's just like, I don't know, that girl Addie like just fucking despises me. Yep. And the coworker is like, are you sure it's you? Because I know she's in your husband's class. And I mean, girls get really obsessed with your husband because he's so handsome. And God. It was like her third eye fucking opened so wide. And then what happened?
She walks over to go talk to Nate. And this is immediately after that talk with the principal. And she, when she's walking there, she sees both Nate and Addie standing really close to each other. And Nate puts his hand on Addie's shoulder. And she's like, oh, well, no, her hand in his hand.
They're holding hands, yeah.
And it's like, oh, you know, he's probably just comforting her. She does have a really hard life. But then they start kissing.
He kisses her, though, and that's important. Yeah. So she witnesses her husband kiss this teenage girl. And Eve is just like, oh my God, what do I do? Obviously, I have to do something. She takes a picture and she's like, I can't go in there and confront him because that's embarrassing to me. Yep. And so she walks away. She leaves. Later on, when she gets home, she confronts Nate. And she's like, I fucking saw you, you bitch. And he just denies. I don't know what you're talking about. You had a lot to drink. What are you talking about? No, I would never. Ew. No, Addie came on to me. Yep. She came on to me and I pushed her away. But, you know, she's been through so much.
But then when the picture is mentioned, he's like, okay, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And it's like, we're divorcing. And he's like, done.
He's like, I've been waiting.
And she gets really hurt by this because it's like, okay, damn. Didn't even fight that, but we're divorcing. I keep the house, you resign, and you promise to never work with children again.
Oh, also, you have to break up with Addie.
Yes.
Like right now.
Mm-hmm. Don't wait until Monday. Mm-hmm. And he was fine with everything. It was just the fact that he couldn't work with kids anymore.
He didn't want to leave that school because he said that he had such a good like rapport with some of those students. Of course he did. I'm sure you did, you bitch. And so he didn't want to leave that school. And that was the part that was the hardest for him to accept. But anyway, he ended up leaving the house. He texted Addie and he was like, she knows, period. That's it. Nothing else. And Addie panicked a little bit.
She did because like they can't be together if Mrs. Bennett's in the way.
But don't you just love that Nate literally fucking said that?
Yeah, and Nate said like if only she was dead.
Yeah. No, I don't think he said dead. I think he said like, if only she wasn't here to stop this true love between us.
I think he said kill. Like I think he
really
said that word because it was so out of character. It like took me out for a second. But then
he might have because
he was very manipulative.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he did. So Addie goes over to their house and Mrs. Bennett, Eve, is just kind of like, I know how you feel. Like, I know you feel like this is love, but this is not love.
Yeah, you're just a teenage girl. Mm-hmm. And Addie is so adamant. She's just like, no, this is love.
And something we didn't mention, her friend Hudson and her, that thing that they did over the summer was out of self-defense. They had pushed Addie's father, who was drunk and ready to abuse Addie, down the stairs in which he died. They didn't report it to anyone, and they buried the body.
Mm-hmm. No, they left.
They left. You're right.
And so when his body was found, it was found by his wife, so Addie's mom. They just thought, oh, he just slipped and fell.
Yep.
So that's why Hudson, her former best friend, wasn't talking to her anymore.
And so, as the readers, we know that what she's capable of. Mm-hmm. So when she was talking to Eve and it wasn't making sense to her why she couldn't be with Nate, Addie grabbed a frying pan and just hit Eve profusely. Like,
and kept fucking hitting her. I was like, this girl's gone.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Oh my God. So then Nate shows up because Addie calls her through Miss Bennett's phone and it's like, your wife kind of...
She took her final sleep. I'm so sorry.
She took her final sleep. You got to come here. He comes 20 minutes later and he's like, oh my God.
What did you do?
What did you do?
What did you do? Don't forget that. You.
And so then he tells Addie to go grab some sábanas, some sheets, in order to wrap the body. And while he's waiting for Eddie to come, he's like deleting pictures off of Eve's phone or any incriminating evidence.
Oh, wait, pause. We do have to mention something though. Remember that lover that she had? Jay. So when she found out that her husband was cheating on her with a high schooler and manipulating the high schooler, because she was very well aware of this. Like, I liked that part that she said he is manipulating this high schooler into, being in this inappropriate relationship with her. She met up with her lover, with Jay, and told him. She was like, I just found out that my husband is cheating on me with this high schooler. And this guy was just like, what the fuck?
Yep.
And he was pissed. He was so pissed that he mentioned, like, we need to do something about this.
Should we kill him?
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so that's important because when she's was attacked by Addie and Nate is now deleting the photos, he's thinking to himself, nobody else knows. Because I think he also asked her if she told anyone, and she said no. But then she wakes up.
And then Nate is like, what? Eve? What?
Yeah.
And so then he wants to finish the deed.
Well, I don't think he was going to at first, but then she made it obvious. Like, this girl tried to kill me and you were manipulating her and she's off the rails. I need to go to the principal. Not the principal. I need to go to the police like today.
I'm going to tell the principal first. That was worse.
So because she's going to report this, he's just like, well, I can't let you do that. I can't let you ruin my life.
Yep.
And so he starts choking her.
And she like mentions like, I can't believe the last person I'm seeing is Nate.
Mm-hmm.
The person who's killing me and the person I want to see the most. It was so conflicting the way she felt about him.
Mm-hmm.
I know that she hated him by this point, but also she loved him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think she loved the idea of him because everybody loved him. Everyone thought he was so handsome.
So Addie comes down and is like, whoa, what are those purple marks on her neck?
Yeah, because she was like, those weren't there before.
No, yeah, it was. Don't you remember, Addie, when you killed her? They were there when you killed her.
Don't you remember? Sometimes when you like hit someone with a frying pan, it like transfers over to their neck. It's crazy.
Weird. So they put her in the sábanas.
The sheets.
Yeah, the sheets. And they take her to this place that's an hour away.
It's like a pumpkin patch.
And they bury her. Well, Nate tells Addie to start digging.
Mm-hmm.
And she does. And then Addie's over here with the body. And Nate's like, I'm going to go get her purse. I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember that they had already had her in the hole. And then he was like, damn, I would finish this, but I got to go get her purse so I could be buried with her.
Mm-hmm.
And also, wait, so they had this whole plan where they dropped off Eve's car.
Say it again.
They had this whole plan where they dropped off Eve's car at the train station before they went to the pumpkin patch. So then he leaves and she's over here thinking like, oh, he's going to be right back. He's just going to go get the purse. She looks down. The purse is right there.
Yep.
Like right by her feet. And she's just like, damn, I really don't want to keep digging. I'm tired. So she just covers the grave with like leaves.
Yes.
She's like, okay, good enough. And then she just leaves because she's thinking, oh, something must have happened.
Yep. So then she calls Hudson and is like, can you please pick me up?
Mm-hmm. When she finds signal because she has to like walk off.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So Hudson comes
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, what happened? Are you okay? And it's like, I don't want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
We're
She doesn't tell him anything, but he's kind of just like, what the fuck happened?
But also tells her like, I'm here for you
mm-hmm.
if you need anything.
Yes.
Just that whole with your dad scared me. And me and Kenzie, we're not dating, but we found a lot of like solace in each other.
Mm-hmm.
So just to let you know. And then so the next day happens and the police are all on this missing case because Nathaniel reported Eve as missing.
Yes.
And then completely starts like framing Addie
as the person to blame.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, she was caught like snooping or being around the house. And so he's kind of like, yeah, you know, I don't know. Like that was her student in math class and check her out, I guess.
So then the police were like, is it okay if we walk around your house? And when they do, they find a pair of her shoes that are completely like filled with mud.
Mm-hmm.
Or like at least the soles of it are.
And also like they weren't there before.
And he gets really freaked out. He's like, did she have someone else that knew this? Did she have a lover? Or was it?
That's what the conclusion that he's making at this point. He's like, someone else knows about my wife.
Mm-hmm.
No, but then he also thinks, was this Addie? No, it couldn't have been Addie.
Yep. So the police
doesn't he also tell Addie like, don't talk to me?
He deletes the app.
Oh, he does. It was like a Snapchat kind of thing.
Yeah. So he deleted the Snapchat and is framing her. But these police are like, I don't know. It's just a little weird because you're framing this girl and you never once mentioned she was your student.
Oh, yeah. That part was so fucking good. When she said that, she was like, why didn't you tell me she was your student? She was very insignificant, so I don't know.
Yeah, she was good in my class, so whatever. And it's like, And then the police goes over to Addie and is just kind of like, hey,
is something up?
Are you
and Nate, Mr. Bennett
together? And she's like, no, we're not. And it's very inappropriate for you to ask that. And she's like, well, here's my card, if ever, because I need you to know that it's not your fault. Mm-hmm. But also, he's framing you to be the bad guy. Yeah. A stalker who was obsessed with him.
Unhinged. Also, I think he also brought up the fact that, you know, she had a similar case, I guess, with
Art
art.
Tuttle.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about Art Tuttle.
Mm-hmm. And Addie doesn't want to believe it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Nate goes home, and he's on his way home, and he gets a call from the police, and it's like, hey, are you there at your house? Like, oh, I'm heading there now. Oh, because we're going to send a parole officer. And he's like, why? Am I being arrested? And she's like, no, not yet. It's like, oh. And so he shows up at home, and there's muddy shoes again.
Mm-hmm. In the bathtub, I think.
Yes. But through the window, a raven comes in.
No.
Right?
No, there was a pumpkin.
Oh.
And there was a pumpkin on the ground. And then there was a raven that was stuffed in the pumpkin.
Damn.
I don't remember if the raven was alive or not.
But he got really fucking triggered.
Because he was like the only person who would know about My Love for the Raven by Edgar Allan Poe is his whole fucking class. But he was like, just my wife. Just my wife knows that.
So he drives to where they buried Eve. And when he gets there, the hole is empty. And he gets hit in the back of the head.
And falls into the fucking grave. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go back with Addie for a sec. So Addie's at home and she's not gonna do anything at this point. She's kind of just like accepting it.
Mm-hmm.
But then she gets a surprise visitor. Kenzie shows up. Remember Kenzie, her bully?
Yep.
And then Kenzie looks really like solemn. She's very, I don't know. She seems upset a little bit. And Addie is surprised. She asks her, what's up? Why are you here out of everybody? And she tells her, I know about you and Nate.
Yep.
Which, I mean, Addie is shocked. She's scared. She's just like, how? What? No, nothing's going on.
And Kenzie's like, that poem that you dropped, that you said you found online, I know that poem because he wrote that poem for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I could recite it. Like, that's how serious I am about this.
But also, I think it's important to say that they were together when she was a freshman.
Yeah.
Which I think...
13.
Yeah. And I think Addie is a junior.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she's a junior. I was like so disgusted. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's disgusting either way, but what the fuck?
That's a child.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I just picture like what we looked like at 13. Literal children. What
That's
the fuck?
a child.
Yeah.
That's how old my students are.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
disgusting. Yeah. And so basically Kenzie convinces Addie, hey, we need to go to the police. Let's go together because neither of them want to go alone. Mm-hmm. They go to the police. They confess everything. And I think Addie confesses to Eve, right? Well, pause on that. Let's go back to what's going on with Nate.
So Eve, it's in her perspective. She's like, I knew I couldn't be the one to hit Nate because I wasn't strong enough. So what ended up happening was when she was strangled, she didn't die. Mm-hmm. So she wakes up, comes to, and she knows that she's wrapped in a sheet. And she feels herself being buried alive. And it's funny because the way this chapter starts is like, being buried alive, don't recommend it.
Yeah.
It's a horrible feeling, whatever. I felt it going on top of me, but I knew I had to wait for
She felt the weight of everything.
The weight of the dirt and the leaves. So she was like, I knew I had to wait, though, for my survival. Uh-huh. So she waited after, like, a whole hour after
the silence. Because she could still hear when Addie was calling Nate or trying to call him.
That's so fucking scary.
Mm-hmm. So she waited a whole hour afterwards.
And then got herself out of that grave, basically. Mm-hmm. And then ended up calling Jay. And Jay was like, I'm there.
I'm there, girl. I'll be right there.
And so Jay comes and he is so down to help. And he's the one that punches Nate.
With a shovel?
Or hits Nate with a shovel. Whatever. And so then Nate is like in the water. Because like he's in the hole, but there's water in it. Mm-hmm. And she's like, you were a bitch to me. And now you're going to be buried a bitch. And she starts
Once a bitch, always a bitch.
turn up the music, Jay.
One bitch, two bitch. No, one bitch, no bitch.
So then she starts burying him alive, and Jay's like, that's gonna kill him. She's like, I know.
I'm aware
of
Jay,
how this works.
Let me do it again.
So she kills him, and he is begging for his life, is begging for forgiveness, but then turns to like, you fucking bitch, I can't believe you're doing this.
After everything I've done for you.
So
the switch up. Damn.
I know the switch up is crazy. But I think it's at this part where Eve reveals like, I loved him for a long time, and
Not yet.
think back. Oh.
No, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead then.
Or whatever. We can
I think at this part it doesn't reveal. No, well, I'm gonna wait. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
I just want to say, Freida McFadden always comes with plot twists. That
After
girl,
plot twist,
recipe plot twist at the end. Just know that. So what I'm confused about, and I just want to know if you understood it better than me. When Addie confessed to what happened, wouldn't the police investigate this pumpkin patch area? Because Nate's body was never found.
But isn't it also said that they didn't investigate it that thoroughly because she came back? And
yeah, but I don't
think
think
the police. I think she was just kind of like, oh, okay, and he left. Crazy.
Yeah, he left because he's a little bitch who would manipulate his students. I mean, how many students was it?
Yeah, it was several, right?
Yes, it was. So at the end of the book, we find out that Eve comes back, and that's why everyone's like chill. Addie doesn't get charged with anything because Eve's alive. And so, yeah. So what was her reveal? So
Eve resigned. First of all.
Yes.
And she talks about how no matter what, she always kind of loved Nate ever since they got together when she was 15.
Yeah. But she said, like, oh, that poem, he actually wrote it for me when I was 15. So that same poem that bitch kept recycling to all of these young girls, he's been recycling it. And the crazy thing is we don't actually know if Eve was the original girl that he wrote this poem for. It could have been somebody else. But yeah, I thought that was crazy that she was manipulated into being in a relationship with him and
married him. That's disgusting.
That is disgusting. So that was the first plot twist.
And then it goes to Addie's perspective, and she is back to being friends with Hudson. And she's always kind of not liked Hudson, but is open to the idea of them dating.
Well, because she did say, oh, he's very handsome. He does football. So he's very like well built. And so when she found out that he wasn't dating Kenzie, she was surprised. She was like, wait, what? But he's so handsome. She really thought that they were together. And so I still don't really understand his relationship with Kenzie.
I do. But just to finish this up, Addie is now besties with Kenzie, and then her and Hudson are friends again. And then there's a part where Hudson is walking and he sees like a bunch of football players, and they're like, hey, you coming out to practice with us, Jay? And then Addie's like, oh yeah, they call him Jay because of his last name.
No, she asks him, why do they call you Jay? And he's like, oh, my last name? It's like the first syllable of his last name. And then he's like looking at his phone and like smiling, and she's like, who are you talking to? And he's like, oh, just an old friend. She's not here anymore, though.
She used to be, and she was in a really hard place, but now she's out of it, and she's a lot happier. And it's like, oh, crazy.
Nice. Let's go to dinner.
The end.
Thoughts?
First of all, I thought Kenzie and Hudson's friendship was based off of the fact that they both liked their teachers. But then I was like, because I thought that's why they were friends. Because Hudson had even said that Kenzie was like heartbroken.
Okay.
So I thought she was heartbroken over Nathaniel, and he was heartbroken over Eve being in a relationship with.
Was he heartbroken?
I don't know, because even then, did Eve know?
I have so many fucking questions. Let me just say no. At least from what we got from her perspective. Because even at the end, when he picked her up from the grave, basically.
He came twice.
Yeah. I know, that's crazy. She said us to her, the readers, she was thinking this. Oh, well, now he has to get back to his wife and kid. Mm-hmm. But we find out he's not married. He doesn't have a kid. He was talking to his mother every time that he was, with Eve. And that child that she would hear, it was actually his little brother.
Yep.
So I think Eve, I'm so fucking confused. Did Eve
get played twice?
Did she think that he was older than he was, or
he could have lied to her? But then it's like, how do you not notice he's going to the school that you teach at?
Also, he's a football player. Don't you go to any of the games?
Yeah.
Or, I mean,
at least
teachers talk, And
kids, even if they're not in your class, you know them.
Yeah. And he seemed popular enough for her to be aware.
But he was barely getting popular. But I feel like if you would see that name on a roster, you would recognize it.
But anytime she talked about him, it didn't seem like she knew that he was a student. Mm-hmm. So I'm so confused about this.
I am too. Does that mean because of what Eve would confess to Jay, did Jay know about Nate and Addie's relationship before?
I think he must have suspected. I don't know if he knew it was Addie, but I think he must have had an idea.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me because he literally picked up Addie, went home, went back and picked up Eve. That's crazy.
Yeah. So he knew the connection.
Mm-hmm. Just not the details, though. I did find it interesting, though, that he felt so guilty over the death of Addie's father, but then not about Nate. Like, he didn't really have any I don't know, it didn't seem like he had any emotional reaction to that.
Well, the death of the dad fucked both of them up in a very different way.
Yeah.
So I just think that they were both changed people by the end.
That's true.
And it's crazy to me because Eve got away with it, and now these teenagers are going to end up with each other, but they both did horrible things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. I mean, Addie, she
killed a guy.
And then she could have killed Eve. Like, to her knowledge, she did. At one point. At one point in the story.
Crazy.
I know. This was a mind fuck, honestly, to me. And it was so funny because again, when I read a crazy ass story, I just tell my coworker about it, and I'm just like, sit down, girl, I have a story for you. And even she, the whole time, it was so funny because in the middle of me telling her the story, she was like, she's dating a student. I just know she's dating a student, isn't she? And I'm like, shut up, stop guessing.
That's so funny. I couldn't believe it. I thought Hudson would have been different. I wish that he would have been
okay. Kind of like what? Finish your thought.
Just like a saving grace, like a good character, but no.
Do you think, okay, this is going to be completely, maybe I'm reaching. I don't know. Do you think this book is trying to make the comparison of an older woman dating a young guy versus an older man dating a young girl? Do you think that's what it was?
And then which is worse?
Yeah.
Because technically the relationship between Hudson and Eve wasn't viewed as a bad thing.
It wasn't. Not once.
But it is as bad as what Nate was doing to these girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just don't... I'm just confused because genuinely it seemed like Eve had no idea.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, it did seem like that.
Or did she? I don't
think
know.
she did.
Because I feel like there was a moment when she confronted Nate, she was like, that's disgusting that you would be with someone who is so young that doesn't understand what is happening or, what is going on or who you even really are.
And then there's Hudson lying to her about the age. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, this is such a gray area, but it's the whole whose fault is it? Mm-hmm. Because he lied about his age. But he's also a child, and it's kind of her fault.
Yeah.
But it's a lot. It's all these characters weren't great characters.
But isn't it obvious? I feel like it would be so obvious if someone is in high school. Like, it's so obvious. Like, come on.
Yeah.
What conversations are you guys having?
Yep. Well, nothing. They would just have sex.
That's crazy.
And all they would say is like, this is the best part of my day.
Love you, babe.
Oh my God, that's
not
crazy.
really though, but yeah. I don't know. Like, I kind of hated that plot twist because I don't get it.
I mean, I just feel like Freida McFadden doesn't want you to get anything.
It's so funny because did you read the I think it was like a Q&A at the end of the book. Did you read that part?
No.
Or the acknowledgments, I think it was, where she was like, thank you so much to my grandmother for reading my books, even though you always text me, I don't understand the plot twist. I thought that was funny.
That's cute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I'm so shocked with how she could continue to write books with such different
ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Banger after banger, honestly.
No, for real. Like, her brain is so big.
Every Freida McFadden book that we have read, I have loved.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't think I gave this a 5, only because I didn't like the plot twist with Jay as much as I thought. Like, it didn't hit as much as I think she thought it would. Mm-hmm. But overall, I think I gave this a 4.
Yeah, I think I would give it a high 4.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really good. I still really love her writing. Not my favorite book of hers.
How to Be a Teacher.
The idea is interesting.
Yeah, it is, but I'm just... Ugh. Oh, there was another thing. Oh my God. There was an ick. I had an ick.
Of this
I
book?
totally forgot. Yes.
What was
the
it?
part where Nate saw Addie in the hallway and was like, babe, what's wrong? You look upset. And it's like, yeah, one of the girls put shaving cream in my locker.
Uh-huh.
And then instead of a teacher, like, who was it?
Mm-hmm.
You need to tell me who it was so I can report this. I'm so sorry that happens to you.
Oh.
No one should ever treat you like that.
I forgot about that.
No one should ever. Hey, no one disrespects my queen.
And then what did he say?
That she had to write like a revenge letter.
Mm-hmm.
What she would do.
But he told her, he was like, I want you to be graphic. I want you to be gory. Like, tell me what you would do to her if you could. Mm-hmm. And she did. She wrote like a really graphic, revenge letter.
Which he ended up using
against Eve. Like, he made the police believe that she wrote this about Eve.
Yeah.
That fucking bitch.
How fucking dare you? Yeah, I hated that. I hated that none of these teachers had sense at this school. Oh my God.
That being still sad. A banger though. I don't know. Like, I really love talking about it with my coworker, and I really love talking about it with you. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just one of those books.
I think I would recommend this to someone else. None of my coworkers.
No, definitely not.
That being said, to all of you who are listening to us in podcast form, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts on, thank you so much. If you can leave a rating of 5 stars and a review recommending us our next read, that would be great. If they want to support us and they have a little bit of money, what could they do?
So we do have a Patreon, and at the moment it doesn't have a whole lot. It really just serves as a way for our listeners to let us know that you appreciate us, you like our content, you like our twice a week situation. You can find us on patreon.com/bookfix. But if you don't like the commitment of monthly, you can find us on Ko-fi, which is ko-fi.com/thebookfix, or buymeacoffee.com/thebookfix.
If you are watching us on YouTube, hello. Thank you so much. If you can like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because we post every Tuesday and Thursday. We also have a lot of YouTube shorts you can watch on there as well. If you want to support us on social media, we do have a Threads and an Instagram at the Bookfix Pod, THEBOOKFIXPOD, and we have a Goodreads and a TikTok at the Bookfix, THEBOOKFIX. Thank you. Why don't we go ahead and read some reviews about this book?
This review comes from Brooklyn. They gave it 1 out of 5, and they wrote, trigger warning for grooming. It's quite literally the entire premise of the book and could be extremely difficult for some readers. I've read many Freida McFadden books, but this felt cheap, icky, and was hypocritical all the way to the epilogue. I've never rated a book this low, but this was flat out upsetting. Such a bummer.
Amy, who gave it 5 out of 5 stars, wrote, most men equal ew. This man equals big ew.
That was a 5 out of 5?
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Dude, I feel like that one song, the one that like, you know that one YouTube video?
Which one?
Or it's not a YouTube video, it's a Yahoo Answers, when Yahoo used to be big. And
it's
like,
still big in my heart.
Thank you.
I'm just kidding.
And it was like this girl like, can you guys help me find this one song? It doesn't have any lyrics.
Oh my god, I know.
Dun 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 dun, and it gets faster like dun 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 dun.
I do remember that.
Someone found it for her.
Oh my god, that's amazing. That's a service that you'll never forget.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really nice, actually. I love people who try to find songs by doing that though. It was like this wee ba ba ba.
Dude, that's what I do for my sister. Like when I don't remember something, I'll just be like, I read a book once and one of the words was like, go away. Go ahead and find it. And then she finds it.
Dude,
she's so good.
I just want to say one of my biggest accomplishments in life, I'll never forget this. One time I was with my boyfriend and his family, and they all started talking about, I should say, like his brother and his sister. We're talking about this like creepy children's book of this like cookie looking thing that ate too much sugar, and it like looked creepy at one point. And they were like, oh dude, I was looking forever for it, and I was like trying to look up keywords. I was in it. I was like, I'm gonna find this book, and I don't remember the title anymore, but I think it's Mr. Sugar Comes to Town.
Yeah,
I think, I don't remember.
You found it?
I did, and I was like, it's this one. And they were like, what? That's my biggest accomplishment to this
You're
day.
welcome.
You're welcome. I changed lives. What can I say? One book at a time. Thank you.
Wow, you really offered a book fix.